HarperCollins presents Mr. Doubler Begins Again by Seni Glaister, read by Anna Bentinck. Chapter 1. Doubler was the second biggest potato grower in the county. While it was true that his rival grew more potatoes than he did, by a significant margin, Doubler was unperturbed. Doubler's personal motivation was not quantity, but quality, and the mere fact that his adversary had more land than he did had very little to do with their respective skills as potato growers. Unlike his rival, Doubler was an expert. He understood potatoes in a way that potatoes had rarely been understood. He understood potatoes at least as well, he hoped, as that other potato great, John Clark. Mr. Clark, the infamous grower and breeder of potatoes, was Doubler's inspiration. And Doubler sought his counsel often, asking questions out loud as he walked his land, and finding the answers whispered to him each day as he worked on his notes, annotating his day's findings. Though they'd never met, and Clark himself had been dead for some decades, Doubler found enormous solace in their dialogue. Recently, Doubler's experimentation had been going extremely well, and certain that he was close to securing his place in potato-growing history, he now carried within him, sometimes in his heart and sometimes in his stomach, a small, hope-shaped nugget of excitement. Doubler was not an optimistic man by nature, and the knowledge that he might soon take his seat among the most impactful potato growers of all time fueled Doubler with a thrill of nervous energy, tinged by impatience, but darkened by anxiety. To Doubler, his legacy was everything. But Doubler's legacy had attracted some negative attention. The most recent threat had arrived on his doorstep that morning. It had been packaged in a manila envelope, and addressed to him with a white printed label, suggesting a sinister professionalism on the part of the sender. The threat became more ominous still when combined with the two other envelopes previously received. All three letters came from Peel, the biggest potato grower in the county, and, together, this collection of three envelopes, now festering in the dark of the dresser drawer, had transcended from mere correspondence to a systematic campaign. Doubler dwelt on this, and what it might mean to his impending success, as he nervously inspected his land. A brutal wind had stirred up the icy air from all of the surrounding valleys, and had deposited it relentlessly on Mirth Farm, leaving almost everywhere warmer than Doubler's hilltop home. But despite this, Doubler did not hurry. Heading towards the farmhouse, he walked round the perimeter of the yard, stopping to check the angle of the new security camera, and again to rattle the locks on each of the brooding barns. Even in happier days, when his wife had been with him, he had been a cautious man with a nervous disposition. But now, imperilled by this series of recent menaces, he had introduced new layers of watchfulness to his daily inspections of Mirth Farm, and his routine now incorporated a multitude of additional checks, which had quickly become mechanical, as if he'd followed them for as long as he'd followed the seasons. Despite his nervousness, the steps he'd recently taken to protect Mirth Farm from his adversary felt empowering. So, having hung up his coat and hat, he immediately turned his attention to the parcel that had arrived in yesterday's post, in the hope that the contents would further bolster his defences. As expected, the package revealed a pair of brand-new binoculars, which he examined critically. He removed the lens guard and quickly replaced it, repeating this action a number of times, cautiously pleased with its certain fit. He planted himself firmly on the window seat, calming his breathing for a few moments before raising his new gift to his eyes. He played slowly with the focal ring, moving the
Sample complete. Ready to continue?